All right, welcome to week 10 of our NFL League Pick Games series. My name is Chris, and joined with me is my football game picking duo partner, Jason.
Always good to be here. We got a good slate of games this week. What we don't have is the Browns. So what are we going to talk about?
Uh, you know, I, I have a suspicion there's a couple teams that might be able to fill in for him this week.
All right.
And I'd say it's awesome that we've done 10 of these now, or we will have done 10 of these together. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's great just slinging the shit about the NFL with you.
I know Johnny noticed we were doing this series, and he actually said something about he wouldn't mind talking about him from time to time too.
I'd be down for it. We could do something like that.
It's kind of hard to do if he doesn't stick around for each one of them, though.
Yeah, it wouldn't be bad to just have him on and talk about each game for a week.
All right, let's get right into the recap. First off, first thing I want to say is the Browns, Packers, Raiders, and the Seahawks are all on bye this week, so 14 games this week. And then summing up last week, Chrissy went 10-5, still a winning record. And then we have an extremely uncharacteristically dominant week out of Jason, where he went 13-2. Congratulations.
Bow down for Pick'em King.
Yep. And that brings our grand total to, for me, 95-43, and now only on a 4-game lead instead of 7, 91-47 for Jason.
Pretty good for both of us, I think. Is 13-2 the best week that one of us has had so far?
In a 16-game week?
I mean, I know there was a 13-3.
I got a 13-1 in week 6, it says.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That was pretty good. Pretty good.
It says the Chiefs were on
my
bye this
personal
week,
best.
so that must be why. All right, first up, let's get into our juicy Week 9 NFL recap. And we got my boy Aaron, and hopefully the first of many comeback games against the Texans, of all teams.
Yeah, this was one that I think we both felt pretty confident picking the Texans. And this is one of the 2 games in the week I was wrong about. One of your misses as well. This was really surprising. Jets played well. Can't take that away from them.
I know. I suppose it kind of makes some sense. CJ's been playing really bad the few weeks, and both of his top receivers are on IR. So
Yeah. I mean, I think Diggs is less of a problem than losing Nico Collins.
Yeah.
And then is Tank Dell also injured, or is he back?
I think he is back, but he'll probably get re-injured in 2 weeks. So.
Aww. You really hate to see that happen to the Greg Odens of the NFL. Who just have so much talent and can't stay healthy.
I mean, it is very depressing, especially when it was someone who was good for their first 4 or 5 years or something.
Yeah, all of where they've played. Yeah.
If it's someone like that David guy who's been hurt every year, you don't feel quite as bad, even though he is talented.
You talking about Ep.10?
Yeah.
I think this is only the second year.
Well, was he hurt a lot his first year?
Yes. He had one. Well, he just had one. I think he just had one really bad injury where he was out 6 weeks.
Well, really bad one's enough for one season.
Yeah. But it wasn't like it was constant recurring injuries. So I don't know. I think there's still a lot of hope for him.
He's played good since Tua came back, so yes, I think he still has a potential future.
Yeah.
All right, let's get the painful stuff out of the way. We both. Actually, I'm sorry. Did you predict the Falcons to win this? Did I con you into?
We both have the Falcons.
Okay, smart man. We both predicted the Falcons to win this, and of course they did. And it was a closer game, sure, but there was never really any point where the Cowboys looked like they had the momentum. That's for sure. Running game is dog shit as usual. And then, of course, yes, Dak went out in the third quarter or something with what's now a hamstring. He's probably going on IR. The thing is, Cooper Rush is basically just as good as him, so I predict the Cowboys will probably just look identical.
Yeah, I just read that apparently his tendon is partially torn off the bone, and I don't know enough medicine to know what that really means or how bad that is, but that sounds painful.
It means 4 to 8 weeks. Brass tacks.
I'm talking about what Dak's going through. But
Well,
anyway, yeah. I was flipping back and forth to this game when the Dolphins were on commercial or were just looking really bad. Which actually looked better than I thought they would against Buffalo. But anyway, yeah. Every time I came to the Cowboys and Falcons, it did not look pretty for the Cowboys.
actually, it was one of their best defensive showings of the season, sadly.
hmm Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I recognize that there are things they did well,
I
but
was
just like
joking.
every time I was flipping to the game, and I was trying to flip mostly while they were on offense, just to kind of see, what they were doing that looked so bad this season. Yeah, it wasn't pretty.
On the bright side, my boy Kirk did the killing, so I can live with that. All right, next up, we got the league's best fantasy defense, and the Broncos got annihilated by the Ravens. And there's a reason why I benched the Broncos this week, because I have them. They're my fantasy defense. Yeah, this was
Yeah, you
probably
also
just.
didn't pick them. I think this was a pretty easy Baltimore pick for both of us, right?
I think even.
We said it
Listen,
would be an interesting game.
I think there's a cap on how good even a great defense is going to be able to deal with a great offense. And over time,
Mhm.
yeah, there's just too much weapons and talents with the Ravens to, stall them out forever. I think it was more competitive in the first half, and then they kind of ran away with it.
Yeah, I mean, you have like a sneaky good team against just a really really obvious good team here.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
Yeah, Baltimore's offense just look. They've had a couple of rough streaks, but when they haven't been in those rough streaks, they've been fire the last couple of years, and especially this season.
Yep. All right. Why don't you walk us through how the Dolphins did not lose by 25?
All right, yeah. This was really encouraging, and I thought that the Dolphins were going to get behind by 2 scores and then start playing smart, desperate, but not be able to execute. And they never ever got behind by 2 scores. Is really what happened here. We got out to a couple of small leads early, and yeah, I mean both teams in parts played really really well on their offense. Uh, Waddle and Hill didn't do necessarily as much as he wanted to, but our run game was especially working with Chen.
I saw he made like
I didn't.
35 points in our league, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he had like 175 yards or something like that. I didn't see what the average was, but I imagine it was 7 or 8 yards a run. He looked really good most of the time. Raheem Mostert didn't look as good, but at times also, ran for 10-plus yard first downs. And yeah, basically the Miami, running game and a couple of like just quick, smooth passes were definitely working. I think there were a couple of really bad snaps on Miami's part that killed their drives. Meanwhile, Buffalo's offense, Miami stopped them a couple times early and was looking hopeful. But even as Miami's offense was working, they had no answer in the second half for Buffalo's offense. I mean, look, Josh Allen just couldn't be stopped, even when it looked like they were about to stop him. He'd just extend a play and either run for 10 yards or run all around and then hit somebody in perfect stride.
Yeah, I had kind of
Um,
a crazy. I benched Josh Allen in favor of Kirk this week because I
oh,
don't know. I just decided. Well, it said the Dolphins give
I
up
mean,
the
Kirk
least
did well
amount of
too.
points to the quarterback position this season. Uh, Maybe that's
That's got to
subjective,
be some type of statistical anomaly. Because it's the run defense. That's actually really good.
but yeah, in the first quarter, it looked like I was smart. Josh only had like
Uh-huh.
9 points in the first quarter, and then he ends the game with 55. And of course, Kirk only made 45, and I lost this week by less than 10. So.
I've no. Yeah, that was. I mean, I understand what you were going for there. But I think it was just like a very risky call to do.
Yeah, well,
I've noticed that Miami's defense is really, really good. Only on only on first through third down. Only in the first half.
in my defense, I wasn't so
Uh-huh.
much betting against the Dolphins' defense as I was betting
Yeah.
for the Cowboys parting the Red Sea for the Falcons.
Man, it was just one season ago that you were talking about their boomstick D that was just bringing the thunder down on everyone
Hey, led the league 2 years in a row in turnovers. I didn't make that up.
against bad teams.
As you like to say, you can only play who's on your schedule, my guy.
Oh no, like they were really good against the bad teams on their schedule, and they
Hey,
were not so good against the good teams on their schedule.
12-5, 3 years in a row. They couldn't have all been bad games. Come on, let's be realistic.
You know, 5 of them were against good teams.
Oh, yeah. You could. There's
they
a
had
you make
they
fun of
had a
them where
couple
they
of
deserve.
they had a couple of real quality wins too. I'm just saying that if you look at their defense, like particularly last year, there was a red sea between how they performed against bad and okay teams versus how they performed against good teams.
Let's be clear. They've always been bad against the run since Tony was there, so that's
Mhm.
always been a criticism. But man, don't take too much away from. Just make fun of them this season, okay?
I would call them almost like the line, right? Like they really rack it up. They run it up against bad teams. They look amazing,
Not this
and it's
year.
just when you run, yeah.
They can't even. They
Uh,
can barely beat like the Giants, man. Crazy. All right.
there's actually been like one or two like teams that we thought were good that actually lost to the Giants this year, right?
I don't remember. I've just kind of, compartmentalized the Giants in my mind with buffoonery. I haven't seen their
Yeah,
schedule too much.
they
But
are kind of a factory of misery sometimes.
one final question: Are the Dolphins still in playoff contention for that seventh seed?
I mean, mathematically, yes. In my opinion, no.
All right. Not even with how hot Tua and like David have already been.
They are a fine team. I don't think that I don't think that they're going to be able to get from 2 wins where they are now to 10 wins where they need to be at the end of the season.
You don't think
I
they
think
could sneak into the playoffs with 8 or 9 wins?
definitely not it.
All right. That's fair.
9 if we get really lucky, but even that, like, if I had to make a prediction, I think we're going to have a reasonably good like second half of the season and probably finish like 8 and 9.
Also, my personal opinion is I think it'd be harder for them to make the playoffs in the AFC than the NFC. I think there's
Yeah,
more
yeah,
better teams right now in the AFC.
there always are.
I don't know about always, but definitely right now. All right, next up, dwelled on that too long. We had Shit Bowl 9 over here, and the Panthers upset, if you can call that, the Saints by 1 point, not to be outdone by their like own buffoonery. So just by
Oh,
one
wait a minute.
point.
Was they actually 13-2 then? We're gonna have to like do an Al Gore style recount after this, cause didn't the Chargers also trounce Cleveland?
We're on the Saints and the Panthers.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Chargers beat Cleveland. We'll get there when we get there.
Okay. I think our math might be wrong. I think you might have lost 6 this week. I might have lost 3. Anyway,
I counted
we
it like
will
4 times.
issue a correction with much contrition if your numbers were wrong, because I didn't run them before
I've
we
been
started.
very careful ever since that one game where I gave you like two more or whatever.
All right. Anyway, yeah, this was surprising, right? Obviously, we thought both teams would be bad, and I thought there was a reason to maybe pick the Panthers with how bad the Saints were looking, but I couldn't do it. I picked the Saints, you picked the Saints, and this was one that I was only watching the scores updating, but it looked like it was pretty interesting back and forth. Did you see this one at all?
No, I don't think you probably have to like live in the New Orleans sewer for them to have given you this game.
Yeah, probably. Oh man, you said that with such disdain. No, wouldn't watch this.
All
Rather
right.
watch paint dry.
Next week we've got a blowout by the Bengals at home against the Raiders. Don't
Mhm.
really have much to say about this game. It was predictable. Raiders still got some points in, obviously.
Yeah, McPherson finally, I think, looked pretty good again. But just like, yeah, just good to have the Cincinnati offense be able to carry their team again.
Oh yeah,
There were so many losses at the beginning of the season that they looked good in. At least their offense did.
I forgot. Maybe you remember. Who was the head coach that got fired over the weekend?
Oh,
Which team was that? It wasn't the Raiders because they're still blowing smoke up his ass.
Oh my God.
It wasn't the Bears. I can't.
I'm just having a brain fart here. Yeah, it was.
Was it the Saints?
Was it?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Anyway, next up, we've got the Chargers at home against the Browns, and this was the only game of our contested picks that I called correctly.
Oh yeah, it was the Saints. Dennis Allen. Yeah.
All right, the Saints. And
I kept wanting to
yeah,
say it was the Raiders for some reason. Yeah.
you
Go on.
were
I'm sorry.
way too high on the Jameis Winston hype train. I thought he would do better, but he came way, way back down to earth, and the Chargers improved to 5-3, which is better than I thought
Yeah.
they'd be, honestly, already.
Well, you did have the Chargers to win this. I took my bold, spicy pick and actually said the Browns would pull this off and crush the lighty bulbs like a Jewish wedding. But, but, but anyhow, yeah. This was probably not that surprising in retrospect. What also isn't that surprising is Cleveland, I think this is the bigger story here, chipped off pretty much every talented player they have right before the trade deadline. I mean, they shipped off like every single one of the people that Winston might throw to. That they shipped off, I think, a couple of other like skill players. They shipped off defensive guys. They are in complete fire sale mode right now. I didn't pay too much attention to what they got for it because it's not really going to matter with the fact that they're $280 million in the hole. But
Well,
it's kind of amazing that as soon as they start playing a quarterback that actually is passably good, that they decide no, we don't want to build around him.
well, like they say, every year's a rebuilding year. You know.
That's what they say about Cleveland.
Yeah. I mean, if you
Yeah.
look back on their seasons, I'm sure that they, more than any team the last 25 years, have probably had the highest draft picks on average. I would imagine.
It might be the Lions. It might be the
Nah.
Lions. But the Lions kept trying to make all kinds of trades, whereas Cleveland actually in a lot of years was just like, oh, we're almost there. Like let's just stay steady, and they were actually wrong. But yeah, it could also. I mean, I don't know. If you're talking like the worst records, I would say Cleveland. If you're talking actual like going for draft picks and stuff like that, it might be the Lions. The Lions like franchise has really gotten their shit together in the last 5 years, though. It's nice to see.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah,
Next
Cleveland
up,
on the other hand, whoa.
we've got the 7-2 Redskins just barely beating the 2-7 Giants. This was
I don't think that's fair to say.
You don't think it's fair to say?
I don't think that's fair to say. They were up by 2 touchdowns most of the game.
Well, it's a one possession game still.
At the very end, it was, but the Giants never got the ball back once it became a one possession game. I think this was a pretty comfortable win for the Redskins. God, now you've got me calling them that. The Commanders. And yeah, I didn't get to see any of this game. It was not on in my market, but and obviously instead of watching NFL games on replay, I was watching the election for the last couple of days. So yeah,
Yep,
I didn't get to
me
see this
too.
as much as I wanted to.
That's
But
part of the reason why my head hurts so much, staring at these bright ass maps and
me
stuff.
too. I've taken 4 leave in the last 2 days.
I just could not sleep before the night before either. So I had
Anyway, from everything that I saw that I was following this game on on the updates, the Commanders looked like they were solidly in control, as I would expect in this matchup.
well, that makes sense too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think kind of like sneaking under the radar is how their defense no longer completely sucks.
We'll see. All right,
Maybe they...
next up we had Shit Bowl 9.5 over here with the
I was gonna
Patriots
say,
versus the
yeah, New Orleans,
Titans.
Carolina, I think was the real shitball here.
Uh, who did we pick in this game? I forgot.
You had, for some reason, Drake May and the Patriots, and I had Tea Time.
Oh yeah. Well, I still think the energy was more with the Patriots. I still think they had more to play for, to be honest. But obviously, this was also
Probably.
pretty close.
But I
So
think Tennessee is just like, if you look at them on paper, the better team.
yeah, I'd say overall that's true. I just think the Patriots
Mhm.
had more to play for.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was pretty satisfied with this because, when I saw what was happening to Cleveland, I was worried I might lose to you again this week.
well, we could have went 2-2. I would have been fine with status quo.
Two and two. You still think that the Buccaneers had a shot? That's cute.
Status quo is victory essentially for moi. So,
That's fair.
and I actually let's talk the next game. I thought the Bears would have put it. I'm pretty sure I picked the Bears and you picked the Cardinals for this. I would have thought the Bears would have played so much better against the Cardinals. Their defense just was not the insanely talented unit that it had been for most of the season in this game.
I think, in fairness, I was torn over this, and I took the Cardinals because they were at home. If I remember our video from last week. But yeah, and I think they also just have a higher cat. I saw what they did against the Dolphins, and yeah, I had some belief in the Cardinals going into this. They repaid my loyalty.
Yep. And then next up, we have the Jaguars in a close game with the Eagles, which is definitely more embarrassing for the Eagles, considering what a spiral the Jaguars are on this season.
I think I did call this being a possibly very close game, didn't I?
I don't remember. We talk about so much shit. Maybe
Yeah,
you did.
fair. Yeah, I think I said like there's a chance it'll be a blowout, but I think more likely Jacksonville's actually gonna play up to the Eagles in a loss. Uh, so yeah, Jacksonville is not the crapola team that a lot of people think they are. When they fire on all cylinders, they will even beat good teams. It's just they haven't really managed to do that a lot this season.
Ah.
And yeah, Philly, what's to say about them, right? Sloppy but good team.
Yeah, I think they're secretly pretty good. But yeah, they'll
I
get
don't
some
think
dumb
any.
wins.
I wouldn't say secretly. I don't think there's a person out there that's sleeping on the Eagles.
All right, next up we've got the Lions and the Packers. Wasn't as high scoring as or as close as I thought, but yeah, I thought the Lions were a pretty safe pick in this game.
Yeah, I mean, you have two very good teams. I think, I think we both said we're feeling comfortable taking the Lions here. We think they're the best team in the NFC, but we're not going to blame any Packers fans for saying Green Bay is great and feeling like they're going to beat Detroit at home. They did not. Detroit keeps just playing out of their mind.
This was a home game for the Packers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Beat Detroit. Okay, yeah. I said at home. What I meant was while Green Bay is at home.
All right. And then we have a victory of the Rams over the Seahawks in a close game. I did catch some of this one. I think it was some bonus coverage.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a pretty damn close game. I didn't get to see the play where Puka Nuka got ejected, though, in like the first 2 seconds of the game.
Oof. Yeah, I didn't see that either.
And my uncle was texting me about how he lost the game because of that. Puka Nuka would have put up like 10, 15 points. So
Yeah, was he just being a hothead or what happened?
he punched somebody or something like that.
Yeah, can't close that fist. Fight all you want, you'll just take a 15-yard flag and they'll probably be offsetting against the other guy. Poke him in the eye, but don't close your fists.
Yep.
Honestly, I don't mind the NFL. I wish that they would honestly suspend people for poking, or suspend people for intentionally poking people in the eye as well.
Well, I'm not for people poking each other in the eye, but they definitely need to let them fight a little more, you know?
I actually don't agree with that. Like, I get it, right? Like, there's a lot of adrenaline going out while you're out there, and especially if you're being attacked, or especially if a teammate is being attacked. I understand why people go after people in the field,
So,
but I actually like that the NFL doesn't want to make this look like thuggery.
yeah, you
Um,
see these big fights
you know,
sometimes where people run
yeah.
off the sidelines and it turns into like, 10, 15 guys all close
Uh-huh.
together. And at the back of your mind, don't you just want to see how it ends?
No, honestly, I mean, like, I understand what you're saying, but honestly, what's going through my mind is like, man, like, just stop being idiots. Just stop this. Sit back down and play football, and do some more fun touchdown dances if you really want to get that energy out. Like, just sit back down. Nobody needs to see you like get in other people's faces. We already know you're manly. Okay, trust me. I've played some tackle football before. I break after like 2 tackles. Okay, I've got enough respect for for what these guys do week in and week out. Like, they don't need to prove that they're tough to me. I know they're tough. So honestly, what I'm thinking during this is just sit the fuck back down. All right, Indianapolis, Minnesota. What's going on? Am I getting the silent treatment from Chrissy for?
Oh, I'm sorry. Somehow my thing got muted. Yeah, so
Well,
basically, yeah, I
why are you
basically
so
said,
angry at me for saying I don't want to see the fights?
oh, that must be why you didn't respond to my joke. I said Saul Alosi would be disappointed with that take. And then I said, all right, on to the next game or whatever.
All
And
right.
then I said, yeah, we got a pretty close game against the Vikings. And then I asked you if both of us picked Minnesota.
Yeah, both of us picked Minnesota. I don't think any of us are surprised at the result. Honestly, I'm a little bit surprised by how close this was. But yeah, Minnesota just not looking as good as they did at the beginning of the season when they were raffling off win after win.
Yeah, I'm so disappointed that Joe Flacco had such a bad game. I wanted him to give the Vikings like a third loss in a row, you know?
Look, I like Joe Flacco. He's not and never was the elite quarterback that people called him.
Super crazy.
I think he's better than Richardson.
Yeah. All right, and then our final game of last week, we have the Buccaneers in a very close game against the Chiefs, and don't even fucking try telling me that this was some kind of dominant game from Kansas
Blowout,
City.
blowout. Knew they were winning the whole time.
This is a ridiculously close game. It went to overtime. The Buccaneers literally lost this game because they lost the coin flip. Which, when I was watching this game with whoever, I was saying, "You just fucking watch. The Bucks won't even get a chance. They'll lose with a fucking coin flip, and that'll be it." And that's exactly
They
what
lost
fucking
the
happened.
coin flip. They lost to not being able to stop Patrick Mahomes.
Uh huh. Well, they barely could start Baker with no receivers, also. So, fuck them.
Yeah, that was. I will admit I was surprised how close it was, but not as surprised as you apparently were that the Buccaneers lost to the Chiefs. You had Cade Otton with 3 receiving touchdowns. He had one, but he did have a very respectable game.
I
I had
don't know.
Mahomes with 450 yards and an 80% completion percentage. And while he didn't reach 450 yards, I think he was at 290 something. He did have a 77% completion percentage and a 119 quarterback rating in his highest rated game this season. So for all the shit you were giving me about this is going to be his breakout game this season, you'll see. You know, pretty good, pretty good.
Who's breakout game? Talking about Mahomes' breakout game?
Yeah, Mahomes.
Well, yeah, it was definitely his best game of the season. It's not hard. He's barely thrown like one touchdown in most of his games.
Oh, please. Yeah, the number. Well, I mean, look, when he runs in 2 touchdowns, how many touchdowns are there left to throw in?
And in my
Uh,
defense, that Cade Otton guy, he dropped a second touchdown. He could have had two.
all right. Well,
All right, that does it
maybe
for.
if we squint, you were close. But yeah, I mean, Kansas City. Look, they're not invulnerable. I think it's very possible they run the table.
You
And
listen to this motherfucker. He's saying a game that went to overtime wasn't close. It's like an oxymoron over here.
look, you know I'm being, I'm being braggadocious about that. But I really do think that it's possible that they're going to run the table and go 17-0 this season.
Bullshit.
They're halfway there already, dude.
They'll run out of steam. They'll forget to pay the refs 1 week, and then they'll be done.
Oh, that's funny.
All right. Next, we got Week 10. And as I stated earlier, we got the Browns, Packers, Raiders, and Seahawks are all on bye this week, so we got a 14-game week. First up, we got the Bengals going to Baltimore against the Ravens.
Yeah, honestly, this is a pretty solid slate of games. Starting with I think two very good offenses here.
Yeah, I mean, the Ravens don't really have a good defense, but we all joke about how bad the Bengals defense is. So
Right.
there's every reason under the sun to believe this is going to be some crazy high-scoring game, but I just don't think the Bengals are going to be able to keep up with how many points the Ravens will be able to score, even if they make a lot too.
Yeah, I fully agree with your analysis here. It might not be a shootout in the sense that it would be like one score almost the entire time. Um, but yeah, I mean, I expect 60 plus points in this game.
Yeah, I wouldn't
I
be
think
surprised if it was like 28-45 or something.
right. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like 50-30. Um, I mean, how is Cincinnati going to stop Baltimore? The only thing that might actually keep the points down a little bit is that both of these teams are good at running the ball, and if the run game is working, it's like almost like why would you put the ball in the air, and stop the clock? So yeah, I'm taking Baltimore in this one. I do think it's going to be a very fun game. I hope I'm not wrong.
So you're taking the Ravens too?
Yeah,
All
absolutely.
right. Next up in Shit Bowl 11, we've got the Giants versus the Panthers. And someone told me that this is Germany's punishment for their war crimes, having to host this game. Because this game will be played in Munich, I think. Got any take on that?
Wow. Look,
Well,
of all the countries in the world that deserve to be punished right now, I don't think we get to talk shit about Germany.
I didn't come up with that.
Um,
Someone told me that.
I,
You got a favorite for this game?
I think even though Carolina shows signs of life at times, I think the New York Giants, while bad, are probably not quite as bad as we'd like to throw at them. It's just like, what are they really going to make work here? I don't have a strong feeling about this one. I'm going to take the Panthers.
Ah. Well, you honestly made a case like you were going to pick the Giants, and then you pick against the Giants? Because I'm definitely
Yeah.
picking the Giants. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
I do think the Giants are way better than their record. I think the Giants have like a top 10 defense, and the Panthers have like no one you've ever heard of, so.
I really think if they had Saquon Barkley right now, they could and somehow manage to keep him healthy behind the Giants line. I actually think that they could be a really solid, not great, but solid kind of NFC level team right now.
Well, they got Saquon Barkley 2.0 coming up. In fact, here's my prop bet.
Oh, okay.
Tyrone Tracy Jr. is going to get 2 touchdowns and 150 scrimmage yards.
Oh, 150 all-purpose yards.
Yeah.
All right, that's quite a prop.
That's how sure I am he's going to have a big game against these dumpsters.
I mean, if we were taking like last week, let's say the Giants were to play against the Jameis Winston led Browns, who would have you taken in that? Because I would have taken the Browns.
Say that again.
If we were taking last week, let's say that the Giants were taking the Jameis Winston led Browns, who would have you taken in that game?
That's tough. I mean, fresh off of Jameis's first game, I would have taken the Browns, I guess. But he came back down to earth, I guess, and showed that it was a fluke.
Yeah. What about what if never mind. I'm taking too long with this. But yeah, like I really do think that the Panthers, good enough to beat a few teams in the league. I think the Giants might be one of them. I mean, where's the I guess you think that the spark is Jerome Tracy Jr. Okay.
I don't think it's just him. I think their defense isn't half bad. I think they got slightly more talent, whereas the Panthers' whole team has probably collectively put up like 15 fantasy points.
Yeah, I know I'm taking a risk here. I'm gonna stick with my pick of the Panthers. Of the Panthers.
That's perfectly fair.
All right, now we've got quite shitball 10. Got
Not
the
quite the
Patriots.
same caliber.
Yeah, we got the Patriots at the kind of ailing Bears.
Yeah, whereas I think the Patriots had enough energy to beat the Panthers last week, or whoever the Patriots played last week that sucked. Was it? Which one was it?
Tennessee Titans.
Oh, Tennessee. Okay. Yeah, this time, no amount of optimism I think is going to get them past the Bears defense. So I'm saying this is the Bears comeback game. I don't know how dominant they'll look since, yeah, they are still got a lot of problems, and I think they're pretty poorly coached. But yeah, I'm calling the Bears for this one.
Yeah, I can see the world where the Patriots pull off the upset, and given good enough odds, I might take them this week. But in a straight up pick 'em, I think it would be foolish to go with anyone but the Bears.
Yep. Next up, we got Buffalo going to Indianapolis. I suspect Joe Flacco will have a bounce back game, but
really against the Buffalo D.
I don't think they're like a super elite unit. You know,
they're very good.
They're good. They're not insanely great. I don't think. Yeah. But I definitely am still going with the Bills, but I project this one to be a bit of a high scoring affair. 30 plus for both teams, maybe.
Okay, for the second week in a row, I am going to take the Bills by 25 points. Didn't work out for me last week, and I'm happy that it didn't because it was a fun game to watch. I don't think this one is going to be as fun.
Yeah, I still don't see them losing by that much, but I hear you.
Indianapolis is not a great team, dude.
I know. I still think that they can still put up some points with Joe at the helm. Next up, we've got the Vikings at Jacksonville. And why don't you tell me how hard you have faith in the Jaguars by picking Jacksonville?
Welcome to Club Spice. I am taking the Jaguars this week.
You're taking the Jaguars, okay.
I am taking the Jaguars. Their offense is showing more than signs of life right now. Minnesota is really in a slump, and we've seen in the past when they get into a slump, that slump doesn't end quickly. They don't just pop right back out of it.
All right.
This is just not a team that bounces back from tough losses. They barely won last week in a game that we thought that they would crush. I'm taking the Jaguars. I do think it'll be a close game. I certainly, I'm not saying like I'm 90% confident that Jax is going to win this, but I'm going to go for the spice pick here. Jaguars all the way.
Well, that's bold. I definitely am picking the Vikings. Even if they've lost a lot of steam, they've certainly got enough talent to, make fools of the Jaguars, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So I feel good about my 2-0 here at the beginning.
It could certainly happen. And I think, most people who know football would tell you it probably will happen.
Why are you picking them?
Because I'm going with my gut. I really like what I've seen from the Jaguars.
All right. That's a good enough reason.
Yeah. I really think that, their ceiling's a lot higher than people think, kind of like the Cardinals. And they've actually been playing, at least on offense, near it in the last couple weeks.
Next up, we've got the Broncos at the Chiefs, and I don't think the Broncos will give up the ass anywhere near as much as they did to the Ravens. I expect this to actually be, it's a divisional game. I expect this to actually be pretty close, but I don't think the Broncos offense is good enough. I keep saying, if you put a pretty good team against the Chiefs, I'll pick against the Chiefs every time. I
That was
don't
a
think
very decent team.
I don't think the Broncos have enough offensive prowess to keep up with whatever the refs allow the Chiefs to muster. So
Whatever the ref. Yeah, blame the refs for the best team in the league. God, this is like the Patriots haters for 20 years. Sure, they got some calls from the refs. They were the best damn team in the league for
I
most of those years.
I never ever hated on Tom Brady or the refs the whole time they were dominant,
Oh man, it's
or the
your
Patriots. Sorry.
you're on a lonely hill there, not hating on Tom Brady, but hating on Patrick Mahomes. You want to sit on some more footballs?
What?
You want to sit on some more footballs?
Oh,
Deflate them?
that was such a goofy scandal. So,
So you're cowarding out after you hate on the Chiefs so much and still taking the Chiefs?
well, it's not the first time I've picked the Chiefs against other bad teams. I think this is not a terrible team, but I don't think the Broncos are close enough to having what it takes for me to warrant a throwaway pick.
Yeah, I always enjoy divisional matchups like this between like a team that would really want the win against the best team in the league versus the best team in the league. I'd be surprised if Denver like really gasses out the Chiefs and makes this very tight. But I'm certainly not going to pick against the best team in the league. Chiefs all the way.
Yeah, I expect it to be closer. They're definitely not the best team in the league. All right, next up, we've got my boy Kirk and the Falcons going up against the shitstorm that is the Saints. This is also a division game, and I'm riding high on the thug life of Kirk Cousins for this one for sure. The Falcons are like 2 games up on like the whole division.
Yeah, and the Saints are 2 games up on the 2008 Cleveland Browns.
This is
Or sorry, the 2000. I think 2008 was the Lions. Browns was 15 or 16.
is that their 0-15 season or
Anyway,
something?
Saints are 2 games up on that. I think we're both easily taking the Falcons here, right?
You have to.
Anything that you want to say about the complexion of what you think this game will be?
Say about the what?
About the complexion of what the game will be, like how the flow will go, what New Orleans might be able to put together, if anything.
Well, Alvin Kamara's been good the whole year.
Mhm.
It's like they just haven't put it together through the air. I think Derek Carr came back last week. He didn't have a good game. They just fired their head coach. For some reason that brings some energy back.
For one game to a lot of teams,
Yeah,
yeah.
so there is some crazy scenario where this might be good, but at the same time, the Falcons' offense has just been honestly just better like almost every week. Their run game was garbage, but it's been much, much better the last like 4 or 5 games. So much so that it's taken away fantasy action from my boy Drake London that you made fun of. Now he's the number 3 receiver.
Oh my God, he's right behind Garrett Wilson, who I also said I didn't make fun of him, but I said he'd have a bad fantasy season, right?
No, you just kept making fun of Aaron. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
You said he couldn't be a top 15 receiver with Aaron at the helm.
I'm not done making fun of Aaron.
Okay. Next up, we've got a game with the 49ers at Tampa against the Bucks. This one I actually think will be one of the more exciting ones this week. I don't know how down you are on the Bucks, but I think the Bucks are actually still got a lot left in the tank. I think the amount of how close they played against the Chiefs with so many injuries, I think it really just speaks to Baker's like evolution over here. So I expect this to be a pretty close game, and it really could go either way. I mean, I could make an argument for both teams. I just think even though the Bucks now have a losing record, this is going to sound absolutely retarded. I just think the Bucks are honestly just hotter right now. As stupid as that sounds,
It is amazing how much they're pulling out with how much they've lost. And San Francisco on the other side of that, I think we thought they were going to pull things out despite how much they've lost, and they really have not done so. I've just been so down on the Buccaneers since they lost 2 of their best receivers, one of which was in complete garbage time. That's just such Sean McVay level mismanagement.
I know.
And,
Chris Godwin, number 1 fantasy receiver for a few weeks. So crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, it wasn't just like fantasy stats. He was really good.
Well, Mike Evans will not be back for this game. I've done the research. He's not going to come back till after their bye. So this is still Kate Otten's world.
McCaffrey is still like a game or two off of coming back, right?
Yeah, they just came back from their bye. So
This is a really tough pick. So you're taking the Bucks?
yeah, I think I'm going to take the Bucks. I mean, I think the Niners are honestly lucky to not be sitting at 2 or 3 wins right now, and they have not. Their wins have not been convincing, whereas the Buccaneers'
Yeah.
losses, I actually feel like say a lot more. And I've had the pleasure of getting to watch the Bucks a bunch of times, and they've been insanely impressive how they've moved the ball. And the Bucks have always had a clownish running game, but this last month, man, their running game, this Bucky Irvin fool, has been tearing it up. I'm telling you,
When you're talking about clownish, you're saying good or bad?
very bad. Like when Tom Brady was there, they did not have a running game. Let me tell you.
Fournette had some ridiculous years there.
That was definitely pre-Brady. I don't even think he was with the team anymore when Brady was there for the 2 seasons.
I think he was there for one, but I'm not sure about that. But yeah. I mean, you don't have to go back that far to when the Bucks had a good running game. Anyway, I was actually coming into today thinking I might take the 49ers. I've talked myself out of it as we've talked.
I mean, I've
Especially
talked
at
you out
home.
of it.
I'm gonna go for the Bucks. Well, we've both talked me out of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
This is the mistake I made that other week when I told you to pick the Lions against the Cowboys or whatever
against the
that.
Cowboys. Yeah, I remember that. You saved me from that stray. Uh,
What the hell were you smoking? What was it, like 52-9 that game or something?
yeah, and
Fuck.
I took the Cowboys when you didn't have faith in them once and crushed you.
Oh yeah, they did win. Who did they beat?
I don't remember.
Yeah. All right, next up we got another juicy game. We got the Steelers in the morning against the Redskins, 6-2, 7-2. I really feel like this could also go either way, but I'm not going to quibble over details and dissect this as much as the last game. I am going with the Steelers. Just the experience just feels like it is all there for them. The
Yeah, Germany's
Reds,
running angry letters to the NFL right now, saying, "Why couldn't we get this game?"
yeah, those like bad losing record teams, for some reason they
Yeah.
always get the international slots. I don't know
Well,
why that
Pittsburgh
is.
never has a losing record, but I think like this is one of the matchups that I'm sure the NFL would have been willing to send over.
Yeah, the deal is they
Uh,
probably made the contract before when they thought the Redskins would just be garbage like they always are, so no one probably thought the
yeah,
Redskins would
I
be
don't know
good.
how far in advance they actually set up those international games. That's a good point. But yeah, these are two teams that nobody coming into this year thought were going to be really good.
It's
And the
like
reason that they send the losing record teams internationally is because it's kind of unfair to lose a home game if you're if you're like a team that's competitive and really fighting for those playoff seats. It's kind of unfair to lose a home game and have to go overseas. Anyway, this is going to be, I think, a very good game. I don't think Washington is going to be able to like light up the scoreboards like they do against some teams when they're playing against Pittsburgh D. On the other hand, I don't know that Pittsburgh offense will have what it takes to hold up to what Washington does when they know that they need to get it done. I don't know what type of win streak Washington is on, but I think it's probably at least 6 of their last 7 games.
I don't know when their 2 losses were, but
Oh,
seven
that's right. They're
wins.
7-2. I think. Oh no. They did win week 2 against the Giants. They lost week 1, and their other loss might have been. Oh no, they beat Cincinnati week 3. Their other loss was week 4 against the Cardinals. So they're on a 4 or 5 game win streak now. I forget whether they've had their bye already. Yeah, I've got to take Washington. They look so good, even when they look a little bit vulnerable and they have close games, like that Hail Mary, right? Like they're just magic right now.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh, also a great team that I don't pick against most weeks.
they're undefeated in the Russell Wilson era.
Yeah.
It's like the 3 games, I think. So
There is no shame in picking Pittsburgh with Pickett and Pickens, if you want. I know that one of them is no longer, but like, had to go for the pun.
I know.
Um, yeah,
They're,
you gonna pick in Pickens Pittsburgh?
I'm definitely picking the Steelers. They're just too well coached.
Oh, okay, okay.
I'm way more confident with this pick than I am picking the Bucks against the Niners, honestly.
Oh, okay.
Even
You
though
you don't have any faith in the Commanders here.
I mean, obviously they're a good team. I just
Yeah.
think the Steelers. I think it's like a 60-40. I think I take the Steelers.
Yeah, I also think it's like a 60-40. I will not be the least bit shocked if Pittsburgh just pulls this out and even dominates.
Yeah.
These are just like two such feel-good stories. It's sad that one of them is going to have to lose. I would love
Yeah.
for both of these teams to be able to be winners walking out of this.
I feel like Najee Harris could get like 150 yards in this game.
No question it could happen. The Commanders still don't have a great defense.
But you're picking
All
the
right.
Redskins, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, next up, we've got the Titans going to Los Angeles against the Chargers. I don't care if they are 5-3. I just don't have much of an opinion, to be honest, of the Chargers. I
Mm-hmm.
actually think this is probably a lot closer than it looks. But
Interesting.
out of ignorance, admittedly, I'm just going to pick the hotter hand, which is the Chargers, even though the Titans just beat the Patriots.
Yeah, neither of us have really followed the Chargers much this season. The Tennessee Titans are not a good team. I'm picking the Chargers as well.
Yeah, I would say the Chargers and the Cardinals are really the only team I would make that argument against. I guess I just don't get a lot of news coming out of those areas.
Cardinals I've gotten to watch a little more of, especially when I got to watch the full game as they delivered the smackdown against the Dolphins.
Speaking of that, next up we've got Aaron and the Jets going to Arizona. Fresh off of their dominant destruction of the Houston Texans. Now they go to Arizona to play against the Cardinals, who also just came off of a dominant victory over the Bears.
They had one really good game, and all these jaw flappers on the radio in New York, and we're like, "Gee, told you so. I knew that they would win 12 games this year."
What's their other choice? They're only
so good. They have so much talent. They got all of the old Green Bay Packers around the oldest Green Bay Packer.
Bro, shut up first. Bro, their only choice is to hype up the Giants. Who the fuck? You got no choice, man.
I mean, they're in New York. The Buffalo Bills are there.
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay, fuck no. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. I forgot. I forgot. But
And then the housing is a lot more affordable out there too.
let's all jokes aside, I do think
Yeah.
the Jets have a lot of talent. I honestly would, even though the Cardinals are 2 games up on them, I would honestly put these teams extremely close together in terms of buffoonery and talent. And you know, I'm trying to be fair-minded about it. I'm not oblivious to the Jets' woes. I mean, the woes of the Jets. I mean to say.
Yeah. Well, speaking of both oblivious and buffoonery, we've got RFK Jr., who's going to be the head of who knows what the fuck what. Claiming that the FDA has been launching a war on ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, vitamins, sunshine, and exercise, because apparently the FDA is trying to block out the sun or something like that. I don't know what kind of cocktail that Aaron Rodgers is going to be, putting in his body in the coming weeks now that, RFK Jr. is supposedly going to be in charge of things. He's probably going to, make contact with the grass and just melt into a pile of goop.
Now you're going to have to explain how that's relevant to the Jets playing the Cardinals.
Because might not be relevant this week, but enjoy in a few weeks where, again, Aaron Rodgers is going to make contact with the grass and melt into goop because he's put some type of, toxic cocktail into his body.
Okay, random political injection.
Yeah, enjoy the fantasy stats while they last. I'm taking the Cardinals this week.
Just out of political retaliation over there?
Also because the Cardinals are good and the Jets aren't.
I don't think either of them are very good or very consistent.
They're
Uh,
definitely not consistent, but the Cardinals are good.
you know, I had so much faith in the Bears to actually come out ahead of the Cardinals, and they really let me down. But you know what? I'm double downing. I'm picking the Jets against the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I, s- I,
I honestly, I don't think this is a terrible pick. Like, I think a lot of people would probably agree with you.
I think the Jets still have a good defense. They may literally C.J. Stroud got 5 fucking fantasy points that game, man. I think the Jets still have a good defense.
Yeah, I would credit that more to the Texans' meltdown. But yeah, no question, the Jets' defense is good. I also think that they have a tendency for losing games that they play well in, if you know what I mean. Like, they play well, but they give up. Like, they might not give up too many yards, but they give up a couple of critical touchdowns. On the
Well,
other hand, Kyler Murray has taken a lot of hate. A little bit of it is deserved, but I do think that he's actually an above-average quarterback.
5 of the
Just for his
6 Jets
ability,
losses are by 1 possession, so
yeah, give up crucial touchdowns
they have a
when
lot of
the
close
game's on the
games.
line. Some of those have also been Aaron Rodgers had the chance to drive for a game-winning touchdown and just failed like he always does. But yeah, I think Kyler Murray, like people say he can only use his legs. I think they underestimate how good he is at actually hitting a clutch pass after he uses his legs.
We'll see.
He's not the greatest pocket passer, but I don't even think you need to be when you can actually make plays with both your legs and your arms.
I'm just
And not
salty I
just,
won't get to watch this game because it's in the Cowboys time slot.
hey man, NFL Network.
And then next up, we have the 6-2 Eagles at home against the Cowboys, who have yet to win a game at home. Why
Hmm.
don't you sell this to me?
Why don't I what?
You gotta sell this. How you gonna? Can we pick the Cowboys this week? Like the last 2 weeks you picked them or whatever.
I mean, with Dak close to IR, uh,
Dude,
no.
I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if they play better with Cooper Rush.
No,
He's
the Cowboys, like I said, are a team whose defense is good against, bad teams. Philadelphia is not a bad team. Uh, I'm sure Dallas will play with a lot of heart. They just don't have the firepower to keep up with the Eagles here. I am not a slick enough salesman that I could actually make a case for the Cowboys here. I'm taking the Eagles.
Yep, me too.
All right. I hope I'm wrong, but I just don't see the world where the Cowboys, can keep up for 60 minutes.
They couldn't keep up for like 15 minutes.
I could see the world where they come out with a lot of fire against a divisional rival like this and surprise them for the first quarter or two.
It's all I ask. All right, next up we have the Lions going to Texas also to play against the Texans, and yeah, I have just absolutely no hope that any team is going to be able to slow the Lions down right now.
Yeah, you believe they're the best team in the league, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't, but look, I'll take the third or fourth best team in the league against an ailing Texans right now. We felt so good about the Texans at the beginning of the year, and they were actually delivering the wins, albeit in close games. It's just they've lost too many weapons. Like you said, CJ's not playing as good as he should be, and as good as well as we know that he's capable of. And the Lions are on absolute fire. It is so fun watching Amon-Ra St. Brown when he gets the ball, and he's not the only one there who's just electric. Detroit all the way.
And then finally on Monday night, we have the Dolphins going to Los Angeles against the Rams in what could be a very competitive game.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously one I'm looking forward to probably more than any game this season. Uh,
Break it down for
besides,
us.
besides maybe when we trounce the Jets. And I think you have, two very good teams, or two good teams, not very good, that are, playing a little bit below their potential. The Rams have actually been doing well recently. Great, they have Cooper back. Puka's not suspended, is he? He was just thrown out of the game.
Yeah, just that guy.
On the other hand, Miami, really the, kind of even with Tua. the long passing game to Hill and Waddle hasn't worked out as well as I think fans like me were hoping it would. It's certainly not inept by any means, but a lot of their yards have kind of come from short passes and trying to make yards after the catch. Run game looks really good. Defense only looks good in the first half. I feel like the Rams are more clutch in this one, and I'm going to take the Rams, sadly, to win this in
You're
a
gonna pick.
close game.
You're gonna pick against the Dolphins in this close a game.
Not only that, I'm going to pick for McVay's fourth quarter, not a meltdown.
Oh, I'm also gonna pick the Rams. I thought you for sure you'd pick the Dolphins. They got a real shot.
They do. They do. I can't be a homer here. I have to look at which team is playing to its potential more, and Miami, unfortunately, is not that. I don't think they shipped off too many people before the trade deadline, so I'm happy that they're still trying to win. And even more than that, I'm happy that they believe that even if this year isn't the year, that if they just get luckier with Tua's health, maybe get a little bit smarter with how they back him up, and kind of game plan in advance, that they still have the tools to win next year, because I believe that they do.
All right, and let's hear this preposterous prop bet for this week.
All right, the prop posturous bet. I have Jacksonville scoring 35 points in their shootout win against the Vikings.
That's it. 35 against the Vikings, huh?
35 against the Vikings, and I'm going to say not only that, but it's going to be a shootout. Minnesota will be within one score for at least most of the game, and Jacksonville's going to win with 35 or more.
Well, I guess that is preposterous.
There you go. I'm giving you what you want.
I guess it's more far-fetched than mine is, definitely. They probably have to add their last 4 games up to score 35.
It's going to be so fun when we come back next week and my prop actually hit and yours didn't.
I mean, have any of these hit? So
Neither of us have fully hit a prop bet this season.
okay. No. I feel like these two this week are just a lot more reasonable. Usually you say all manner of nonsense. 35 is a pretty damn tall ask for a team as bad as the Jags, though.
I think they've done 30 twice this season.
No, I don't see it against the Vikings, because the Vikings
That's
are really
why it's the prop bet.
Yeah, I mean, the Vikings are only really flailing on the offensive side of the ball, truth be told.
Look, do you want me to come up with something that's easy to hit?
No, I think...
And you're always like, your prop bets aren't bold and adventurous enough.
No,
Mine, I have 42 sacks by the Denver Broncos just this week alone.
This is sufficiently mythical, I think.
All right. Put it up there in the orange text. It's legendary.
All right, that does it for week 10 of our league series, and we'll see you guys next time.